Hi, I'm back with another video. This is gonna be like pretty unscripted. I just have a lot to say about this. So let's get started. As you can tell from my screen, we are talking about Dark Academia today and how we have lost the plot. We have lost what is the essence of Dark Academia. It is not just skulls and black and browns, okay? It's it's more than that. What I loved about Dark Academia, when I was really young, I didn't even know what Dark Academia was. I didn't know the name of the genre I was so drawn to. There's the Secret History. There are movies, that are about like that kind of like do delve into the genre. I remember there's one called like The History Boys. I wouldn't necessarily say that is Dark Academia, but it does have some themes. There is this one movie, and I can't remember for the life of me. I know Sam Claflin's in it. I can't spell his name. Claflin. Um, Boys movie. Yeah, this is just yeah. Okay, The Riot Club is a genre. Is a movie is kind of set in that genre. The Oxford kind of there's classism, there's elitism, and all of that jazz. Those movies like that, I love it. I love it when rich people, find themselves in like bad situations, like crazy situations. And they're just so rich that you don't know if they'll just like, magically spirit it away with money. Or they dig themselves into a bigger hole, or there's like one poor lower class person among the rich people friends, and they find themselves in a very bad situation. So there are definitely way more movies than this I can't think of. Lots of people like to put Dead Poet Society within that genre, but I can kind of see it. Um, but let's go back to it. Dark Academia. I was a fan of this. I believe 2015, I discovered The Secret History because Maggie Stiefvater, one of my favorite authors at the time, she answered like a Goodreads question, like from a reader that was saying, "Oh, you should read The Secret History. I feel like it's very similar to The Raven Boys at the time," which you can kind of say is Dark Academia esque, the prototype, if you will. And she said, "Oh yeah, it was a very good book." And I was like, "Ooh, she likes it. Like maybe I'll like it." So I read it and I fell in love with it. And I've always been chasing that high ever since. I don't think there's ever been a book that gave me first that sense of discovery and kind of like the things the subjects and the themes of Dark Academia were so cohesive in The Secret History, and which is insane because it's not even the first book to have those kind of themes, like a boarding school, an elite boarding school, classism and murder and thriller and mystery, all of that stuff. But it is what like most people think is like the epitome of Dark Academia, which is like The Secret History. But enough like gushing about it. Let's find out like what Dark Academia actually is. So I pulled up this article from Noveler. I actually used their writing like product a lot, but I like that they really broke it down. So the key characteristics of Dark Academia. We have intellectualism. Okay, celebrating the pursuit of knowledge. It's not just about attending these schools. It's about engaging with it on a higher like critical level. Really like thinking about like what the books are telling us and the philosophies of past ancient philosophers. Romanticizing academic life. There is the gothic themes, yes, the dark skulls, literary references, a very distinct aesthetic, and a mysterious atmosphere. Not everything is the way it seems. There's always going to be a cloud of fog and mystery surrounding everything. So that is what, if you were to really boil it down to like the characteristics, this is what it is. However, I feel like people have just taken this as like a list of little checkpoints to hit to get that dark academia vibe, but they are forgetting the most important thing, which is, you know, there is elitism. Okay, this is like really the most important one. Some books try to hit that, but fail, and I will talk about them. And they're very popular books, and I didn't really like them. And I'm struggling to finish the sequels to them actually because of how like out of love I am for them, and I might honestly even drop it. I don't know. We'll see. So moving on, I also found another article that talks about dark academia, but I think it's very interesting because I think this author is queer, or the article author is queer. So it has like a perspective of like someone who is a minority, instead of just someone who's like a white person that loves the aesthetic of dark academia. So I really recommend reading this article. I will post it into um, my description box because I think this goes like a lot more in depth than the noveler article. So yeah, moving on. So Secret History. Just to give a quick recap, a quick synopsis. It is about a character who his name is Richard, I believe. He goes to a school and kind of finds himself drawn into this kind of like classics club, less like course club thing, and they just talk about like the classics and they debate about things. Then there's like a murder mystery, kind of. Um, the mystery is like how did it happen, not like who did it. Like we all know who did it. It's them. But how did like one poor student who's a scholarship student, I believe, like he goes to this school, and how did he get entangled in this mess? So that's like basically the whole thing, and it's like the author does such a good job with like drawing you into the allure of, you know, rich people and rich mysterious people that are not shallow in a sense, but they do think about these things in a very like deep, dark manner. But they are like, you know, at a core they are someone who is who very much lives differently than like people who are not of the upper class. So let's keep in mind Secret History has all of those themes, and I love it. And then now we have a Penguin Random House article talking about the essential dark academia books. So a lot of these books, of course you see Secret History, a lot of these books I personally have never heard or read. So I would be down to read them. Never Let Me Go, I don't think it's dark academia, but okay, we're gonna continue on. Yeah, I remember reading. I remember hearing from someone who thought like Bunny was not a good book. So I do want to read Portrait of a Thief. Deadly Education I already read. We will talk about it. Ivy's. Yeah. Okay. So it's a very. Yeah. Okay. So this, we're putting a pin in it. Okay. So going from books such as The Secret History, we're moving into kind of like a subset of books of dark academia that really hone in on the murder aspect. There's not much of the elitism or intellectualism. There's no caring about school, really. It's a school setting, and there's murder, and there's students. That's about it. So that's why I hate that these books are kind of like marketed as dark academia. Is, if you remember in the Penguin, they have books such as like this, The Ivies, which is very much about like, it's not really about school. It's not really caring about like, you know, the reading and the fulfillment you can get from school or whatever, or like thinking about classics in a different kind of way. Um, okay, I do like this. I do want to read the Star Sea Room, but anyway, um, like One of Us is Lying, yeah, is on this article saying it's an essential dark academia. How is it essential when it literally is missing so much of what dark academia is? It's not even like an Ivy League school. Anyway, so One of Us is Lying has then it like from here is spawned into like more people writing these types of books. Like I found A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I have personally never read this book, but I kind of already know what's about. Like a girl, like someone dies, a friend is trying to find out what's going on, some other student. None of these books are kind of like similar to what this is, but trust me, there is a lot more books that are very like similar to this. Um, Let me clean up a little bit. And then I got the rest of these books from like a list, like a Goodreads list that says like Dark Academia, and I have a bone to pick. So these tabs are kind of sort of ordered from like most shelved as Dark Academia to like least shelved Dark Academia, but like trust me, this is like within like the first like 20 entries. Okay, how the heck is Piranesi Dark Academia? It has nothing to do with school. It has absolutely nothing to do with school. It's got like Greek statues. That's about it. Okay, moving on. Ninth house. Okay, I probably will make a video about like a whole video about ninth house, but you know, who knows? But ninth house, I feel like it tries, it sort of has it, but it's not all the way there. And the reason why it's not all the way there is because the kind of like lower class classism debate in ninth house and in this series, it's very like shallow, lackluster. Like what can I say? She's half she's half Hispanic. She like her mom can't ever like hold down a steady job. She's a hippie, as you can see here. She's a hippie mom. And she found herself in a bad crowd, doing drugs, sex work, etc. Because she had like a really bad boyfriend. And and then she finds herself going to Yale because Yale has a secret society for magic users, and her power is that she can see ghosts and she can like borrow their power and use it. Like she can borrow their strength basically. And I think the first book was fine. It had like it had a cute little mystery. It had a cute little murder mystery. It's got like little hints of more. I think the second book is like it's a lot of like magic and not a lot of like academia. I mean, the first book doesn't really have that much academia in general, to be fair. Leigh Bardugo does try to kind of shoehorn it in with like the way that they use magic at this school is like they have to kind of use like classic works and quote from them to use like powers or whatever. So yeah, it's like it's not hitting the academia. It's not hitting it. But the other stuff it kinda is. I'm not the biggest fan of this book, unfortunately. And Atlas 6, I also might do a full video about this, but I'm also not really. Because Atlas 6 is probably the worst, not the worst, but like as a book that is definitely marketed as dark academia, as a book that like is probably very very popular amongst like what modern dark academia fans think of. Not like, of course, Secret History is up there, but it is pretty old, like 1996. Like this was published in 2020. By a very famous, like she used to be a very prominent like Harry and Draco fanfic author, and then but this is no Harry, or sorry, not Harry, Hermione. This has like no Harry Potter in it, but Atlas 6, I think tries really hard to be intellectual. However, there's nothing about it that has substance. I think it tries to make it seem smarter than it actually is. I think the first book is fine, but the second book is kind of boring, and that's why I haven't finished it. And it's particularly in this one. There's no talk of like elitism. There's no talk of like money, unless it's uh like like a power thing. There is one character who kind of like isn't necessarily a prostitute, but she does get money, and like she does like drive her lifestyle through having like sugar daddies and using sex as a way to get that. But she, as it turns out in the second book, also comes from money too. Like even the poor characters are all like rich and powerful, and I like, how does that make sense? Like but anyway, this like one of the tropes of Dark Academia from that Noveler article was like secret societies. This whole thing is like the secret society aspect and not much else. um they just talk about like physics sometimes, and I feel like it could have been better, and I wish they leaned into the academia. There isn't really any. So yes, you could say this is Dark Academia, but is it a good one? No. All right, next, Deadly Education. I personally did like this book. Like I liked it, and I read the whole series. I own the whole series, and I think it definitely does try to do academia a little bit better, but not really much. And it's kind of like Hellbent or Ninth House, where they shoehorn in the academia part, or like the worldly culture knowledge thing, because in order to use spells, you have to like use it in a different language. You have to learn that language. And this school is like always about to almost kill you. So you have to try to like have your wits about you and try to survive this school. And it is like the safest part, like safest place for magical people, magical kids at least, because there are like these monsters that are like really want to eat them, and this is the best place for it, or best place to hide away from them. However, again, the Dark Academia aspect is not really there. It's not really there. I don't know if they marketed this as Dark Academia, but I'm pretty sure this is in that Random House. Let's see. Yeah, it's in this, like, so I'm assuming yes, they are marketing it as that. But it's, again, it's not hitting all of those notes that I wanted to hit. There is sort of like a conversation of classism and elitism a lot more than Ninth House. Like I think this one does a lot better. It is like a major theme in the series. So I definitely I'm just like not liking Ninth House. I'm just shitting on it. But yeah, Deadly Education is a lot better, but it's like, again, it's not all the way there. And now we are kind of hitting the I already spoiled the next one, but we're kind of hitting the Dark Academia books, in which it has nothing to do with academia. It has all of it, all it has to do is, I can't speak. It has nothing to do with Dark Academia, but everything to do with the dark part, which is just really like, how can we make a school setting story like taboo? Of course, it's having a teacher and a student get together. Of course, I'm pretty sure this is about that. Yeah. Okay, so part-time professor, and this is a freshman probably. Um, so and it's named Gothicana, which I'm like, that's so cringe. But anyway, um, I hate that these books are like, I can excuse Deadly Education. I just excuse like freaking Ninth House. Can't really excuse Piranesi because it has nothing to do with it. But really, just because you have like a dark story set in the school does not make it dark academia. If you're not gonna like, I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Like maybe it talks about classism and elitism because like it sounds like she's not of a high income bracket, but I don't like that. I don't like it. I don't know what this book really is about like in general, but I'm not gonna read it. And I already know. Another one. Okay, My Dark Vanessa. I've heard that this book kind of like contains like real people histories, which is like, but yeah. So this is kind of a lot. It has nothing to do with our dark academia because it's purely just about a teacher and a student and the trauma that comes with it. So I might be interested in reading this. I'm not sure. But we will see. We will see. And then these books, I again, like Piranesi, why is it here? How is Legendborn Dark Academia? I read that book. I read the second. Oh, I kind of read the second book, but it had nothing to do with Dark Academia. They don't even talk about school. She says she goes to a class, and that's about it. And like they never talk about school again. In the second book, I think she dropped out. I think she dropped out of school, or it's summer or something. But like she's not talking about school. She don't care about school. Legendborn does not belong in that list. I hate that it's on the list. Never Let Me Go. I read this in high school. I liked it. But tell me why this is in here. Just because it's a boarding school, they're not really talking about like, okay, they do art, but they don't like do like school stuff. Okay. Also, after the first like quarter or a half of the book, they leave school. They don't even go to school anymore. They just like I hate that people are thinking just because it's set in a school and there's a dark theme. Okay. Academia? Dark academia. No. I don't like that. I hate it. Okay, closing it. But listen, I love that I have okay, it's kind of like a monkey's paw. I wanted more dark academia books, and Donna Tartt writes super slow. However, the dark academia books I'm getting are not that good. So it's like at this point, I want quality over quantity, okay? And I'm not gonna blame TikTok for this because like this Dark Academia was a thing back in like 2015. It just had a resurgence. And like I'm sure if Tumblr was like super popular, like TikTok was, a lot more people would also be writing books that kind of like capitalized on that Tumblr popularity back in 2015. But like, come on. Okay, that's enough. Like, subscribe, comment, whatever. Let me know if you will die for one of these books I trashed on. Maybe we can have a nice discussion. I don't know. Bye. Thank you.